I'd like to thank again our sponsors, Backbase, BML, Istisharat, iExceed, Intellect Global Consumer Banking from Intellect Design Arena, and Yeti Consulting. I'd also like to thank Ramki, and Chetan, who have hosted the event's sessions for us. And I'd also like to thank you for your attention. And perhaps all our panelists, if we can show our appreciation again in an improved manner. And I'm going to get off stage now, but you'll just hear a final summation of this morning's event.
I'm sure before we part, I think Chetan is going to be mobbed for that $100 million that everybody is talking about. Well, I think we've had a very, very interesting day. We heard a lot of insights. The last one on digital lending, of course, and digital lending experience, as Dimple calls it, is something that we took a lot away from. Since this discussion today, and there has been a variety of topics we spoke about, I just thought as concluding remarks, if I was to summarize the day, and if I was to look at the various aspects that were spoken about today, and I'm looking at both digital and AI, and if I was to summarize them across some themes, then what will those themes be? And I could pick 5 themes that I thought were useful for us to actually conclude the discussion with. The first was obviously about interactions, channels, and how are we actually getting to make the customer experience from an interaction standpoint, right? And here we're talking about not just about chatbots and virtual experiences, but we're really talking about a lot that is being driven by AI and ChatGPT and whatnot. But essentially it's about how do we interact with customers. As banks, how do we interact? The second aspect that I thought was an extension of that, but a much larger space, is not just about interaction, but how do we service our customers? What's customer servicing about, and how is digital transforming, quote unquote, the model of servicing? We had Malik talk about trading as an example of how servicing is changing in the capital markets and trading space. We heard people talk about how lending servicing is changing with BNPL. We actually had a lot of discussion around financial advisory, and there was a question on robo-advisory and what's happening with servicing that is being enabled through AI, and what does that mean from a customer servicing standpoint. So that's my takeaway theme number 2. There was a lot of reference also being made about how digital also means intelligence. We did talk about artificial intelligence, and there was, and as an extension, we talk about intelligent automation, which is about not just automating workflows, but making them smart and making this whole thing genuinely make an impact to productivity. There was a lot of reference to saying AI is about taking away the mundane activities and leaving the decision making to bankers. And what in essence is taking those mundane activities out is about intelligent automation. So that's theme number 3. Theme 4, which I thought was again being emphasized in panel number 3, theme number 4 is risk. A lot of our discussions today, actually, if you noticed, was built around this theme called as risk management. Be it in terms of early warning that we heard Ramki and Dimple talk about, be it in terms of early detections and financial crime and anti-money laundering and transaction monitoring. Every single aspect of this that we're talking about is actually about managing the risk. It's actually the opportunity loss that is being prevented. And that's really where the theme 4, where we could see the digital and AI impact that is actually starting to be experienced or felt in banking, and as Robin started the day with, what we have not seen in the last 200 years and what we are seeing now, that's an example. And that brings me to the last, but I would say the foundational theme, right? That we actually talked about so much through the day, and I go back to Srirang's reference that he actually talked about, he started doing AI in 1990s, and it was 25 years old even then. That's true. And what has changed now, and if you recall what he quoted, is how we used to do this with what's structured data, and now we are actually dealing with a lot of unstructured data. And there was also a reference that was made about how AI could play a role in driving that unstructured data to something more meaningful, right? So this is actually about, just as we're talking about customer, as Ahmed pointed out, we're talking about using AI to drive unstructured data to structured data, and in turn actually getting to use better intelligence in getting that structured data being put to use. So I would think that actually the whole area of data management, metadata, and managing with unstructured and structured data is a very critical takeaway theme for me as theme number 5, right? So to summarize, we're talking about customer interaction. We're talking about customer servicing. We're talking about intelligent automation. We're talking about risk management, and we're talking about data management. I think if we got, if people ask how do you measure the effectiveness of what investments you're making in the digitization and digital banking initiatives, I would think that if you got these 5 right, or some of them right, even if not all, I think that's what I would call as return on the investment in that initiative, and also maybe in the time that you invested with us this morning. Thank you once again, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us.